And always helps if you open up the camera flap. Oh, well. It's utterly exhausted. Oh, yes. Tell me about it. It's been a real knock out of the park, but it's kind of interesting. Right. So welcome, Real Life. Just trying to organise myself here. Honestly, I think I've done about 10 pages of writing this morning. So let me find it. Yes, so these energies, these exhausting energies. Hello, Tamara. Hello, Becca. So let me talk to you a little bit about I'm just going to start where I start, actually, because I've got 8 pages of writing. So the day before yesterday, I was in the inner earth with Gaia, and it was really interesting because we were watching these explosions in the ethers, and we were just standing, and it's an odd construct, really, but when her and I stand in the inner earth, in the center of the earth, and we look up, it's as though we can just see straight through the earth to what's happening in the ethers and in the outer realms. And so we were there, and we just had our arms around one another, and we were just both looking upwards, and it felt like we were holding space for the conclusion. There was a bit of a new uprising from the Anunnaki, and that linked into something that my DM had said to me in the night about how the DMs were fighting off this sort of last skirmish, this surprising intrusion into the ethers by the dark Anunnaki. But Gaia said collective awakening nicely at a smooth speed, even though you may not feel like that. Remember that we're talking about the collective, and that you are likely, if you're here, you're likely to be on the leading edge of that. And so, yes, she's saying at a smooth speed where we can impact one another, and this has a more gentle movement. So again, I'm just reminded here of the analogy that she gave once about how ascension, or this changing in our bodies, this alchemization, can be seen like a glass of water with some drops of lemon juice in it. It's lemon juice or lemon flavored water, and as you add more lemon juice, it increases the intensity of the flavor, the concentration of lemon, but it's still lemon juice. And this is the kind of process that we are going through as a collective. So September energies will be momentous and will fly by. We will witness ongoing and increasing collapse. Structures and systems across the board will show up in their deficits and failures. Truth will roll out in a big way to overturn previous narratives for many, and some still won't be ready. So this month will fly by, and we will witness many endings of all sorts of stories. We'll see the end flip in some cases as turn the ship slowly approach, where new discoveries will be made, and they will make old stories redundant. So this is how I see the mainstream media making their movement, their turnaround, is that they will there will be new science discoveries, there will be new methodologies, there will be brand new information that comes out that enables the narrative that has been the sort of selling point of the last 2 years to shift around and make those old stories redundant. And new science will tell us different facts about our COVID journey over the past 2 years. And we will be constantly bombarded with truths and reveals. But it won't be this great disclosure. You'll remember that I was speaking to Source, Universal Energy, God, a week or so ago, and was told that Ascension takes precedence over disclosure, because disclosure will create too much energetic out of alignment, too much frequency interference, too much drop in vibration. It will be overwhelming for too many people. So yes, that. So let's just continue. So I wrote here, keep a lookout for an uproar from parents about education, and especially sex education and health. I had a bit of a look around the New Zealand health curriculum last night, and it's quite massive to go in and pinpoint. But there is this interesting trend, which I've been kind of feeling intuitively probably for the last year. And so I wrote this, so you do with it what you wish. You don't have to take this on board. And in a way, I want to tell you to rise above it, but just be aware of this. This is my belief, that there is this insidious under the carpet approach to reprogramming your children, our children, your grandchildren, with a deliberate and intentional movement, in my opinion, towards androgyny and normalizing and making some sexual deviant and criminal behavior more acceptable and more as part of the norm, and to younger and younger children. So there have been a number of documents that I've seen, worksheets that I've seen, that as someone who used to teach the health curriculum, I found alarming. And so my advice really is that if you are a parent and your child is in school, to just be very aware and be very mindful about some of the information, be in good dialogue with your child so that you can check in with what is being presented to them. So we need to be aware of that. However, we need to raise awareness of it and yet hold a higher vibration, because that's the ultimate tool to take us into a new place. So homeschooling to me, as a passionate educator from the past, is looking more like a clear winning option to me, even if it seems impossible for you to manage. You might find doing some local kind of collaborations, might easily find some in the meantime solutions, because we're so close really to this big shift. So you might just be able to find an in the meantime solution, and you certainly want to be having good healthy dialogue with your children to let you know if they are having experiences that make them feel uncomfortable. So we are going to see changes and collapse in these areas, and I'm just going to kind of run through them, and I might allude to a little bit of some of them, but it's massive. So we are going to see these things are rising in the health, medical, pharmaceutical, vaccination and science area, government, which we've already been watching, economics, finance, banking, food production, more stuff about weather interference. We've had a lot of interference with wheat and grain crops and lots of flooding. And that is likely to have been cleaning up underground systems and dams as well as interference. So you can view it as there's two trajectories, but there's, in my view, there's only one timeline. But there's still this trajectory from the kind of the New World Order, the World Economic Forum, guiding us down their pathway. And so we just choose a higher one. Climate change is a ruse. Just ignore that. That's just another sales point to convince people to behave differently. There's been massive flooding in Italy, Pakistan, India, Afghanistan, Turkey, New Zealand, Australia, and the US, and I'm not sure where else. We are likely to see sky phenomena, and that may be orchestrated or it may be natural. So what Gaia says is that the natural sky phenomena will be more looking like the Aurora Borealis. So that will be that rainbow spectrum of light that shows up in our skies. And it's rather beautiful and it's rather magnificent, and it holds a beauty, an essence, and a vibration. And that we would begin to see that more and more around the world in places that normally are not seen or do not see that light, those northern lights, and that would be an indicator. So she told me this a couple of years ago, that would be an indicator that we were in the edges or on the edges of fifth dimensional experiences. And of course, many of you will be having that, because the more that we are in our now moment, the more that we have these higher frequencies and experiences. Are we going to see change in sort of things coming out in terms of education, law, legal, common law, justice, sovereignty, religion, spirituality, our history, energy will be shifting over to different energy systems. Housing will be realigned to be more in alignment with ergonomics and with the environment and with our energetics, so that they hold a more gentle and more a natural flow of energies, and also using more environmentally friendly materials. So in our housing, both in shape and materials, communication and technology, war and the end of war, this coming back into peace again. These wars have been orchestrated to disrupt the energy flows and as a means to convince people that things are going on that may not be going on. And air, water and food. So, we know that that's been interfered with in a number of ways over a period of time. So all of this will come back into this higher frequency, this higher vibration, this higher sort of cleansed place. I have got some things about the divine counterparts, but I am going to do a separate video, because otherwise this video will be too long. So you can see yourself right now as a crystalline pillar of light, imagining that you are the internal vortex in a donut or in the toroidal field, and that's what you are representing energetically at the moment, holding a space on the earth, imagining that you're holding hands with somebody else who's a crystalline pillar. And so today, this is what Gaia has given. You may have noticed that the energies shifted. Oh, actually, I'm going to talk about my own experience in terms of these energies. So I haven't been on for a week, because I've just been I was thinking about how I could describe it. I feel like I've been sort of thrown to the ground on a wrestling mat, basically. just totally slam dunked and feeling very exhausted no matter what I did. That's how it felt. I had to really get to just dealing with exactly what I had to deal with in front of me in each day and just managed that. And it's been this extreme pressurizing in our bodies to do release at a deeper and deeper level. And it's been like a last kind of squeeze with this pressure to release, which is not complete, but it's what has happened is that there's been more release of negative, darker, not the forces because they went, but the energies that are held in that part of the spectrum. So they have been lightened and released, and we concluded that is my view. We concluded that kind of batch of energies, that batch of release, that batch of cleansing and deeper purification. And what's happened is because more people are awakening now, more people are aware and awake and becoming at their higher levels of consciousness, everyone in their own level. It's lightening the load for everyone. So everybody is feeling it across the board. I brought this image in here. So this is an image I painted towards the end of last year. It's like a conglomeration of the energies that came in over last year. And what's coming in at the moment is these energies coming down through this gold spectrum, but the paler aspects of it. They're full of codes. They're very sparkly. You may or may not be able to see them on your camera, but if you attune to it, you'll feel the energies of it. So I have been attempting to be incredibly gentle with myself, allowing myself to rest when I can and to sleep when I can. And like I said, maybe in the last video, sleep is not coming that easily on some occasions, but last night was very, very different. And that's the shifting of the energies. We're in a new kind of batch, if you like, a new batch of energies. So we have been in this extreme catalyzation of alchemizing ourselves, and that is what is causing such exhaustion, because it's really, really deep. And the other thing is I had a woman ring me, and I'll speak more about this when she has her website up and running, but she rang me and wanted to have a session and was interested in doing a swap. And she has the only harmonic egg in the Southern Hemisphere. So I went and had a session in that on Saturday morning, which was a really beautiful, magical, blissful experience. And I felt in that space, I felt totally blissed out all of Saturday. And on Sunday, it hit me as though I'd been thrown into a detox. So I hadn't really been had time to read up too much about it. And maybe I would have been better prepared if I'd done that. But I had this expectation, this anticipation that it would all be fine. And it sent me into extreme exhaustion with headache, and then and so that was I felt like I had a hangover on Sunday, and all I'd been doing is drinking water. And then on Monday I felt just so tired. I got up, I went to the gym, I came home, and I thought, I just need to lie down again. So I did. And then I got up and I went and met a friend who I hadn't seen for a couple of months, and we'd made an arrangement. I came home and I hopped into bed again. And then on Tuesday, I noticed that had shifted, and the energy started moving down my body. So I started to have aching in the top of my back, or the back of my head, and then the top of my back and shoulders, and then it moved down. Yesterday it was in my lower back and spine, and last night at about 7 p.m. I was like, whoa, I'm back. And yeah, really big journey. And I feel like the energies, well, I know that the first session has an effect on your entire nervous system. It's about detoxing the nervous system. And definitely I felt that. And then it felt like it was sort of recalibrating down through my body. So she is very, very new with this piece of equipment. So when she has her website up and running, I'll talk to you a little bit more about it. But yeah, that was my experience, and I knew it was going to come out well for me, even if it was that, it's a bit like when you do a detox, you have those bumpy days. So yeah, that experience was mine. But it's this level of exhaustion. We've never had these energies coming to the earth, and you will have heard me say that before, but it's because they keep amping up. So we've just had these incredible increase in frequencies, these massive flares from the sun, these CMEs rolling off, and all of that's like our catalyst agency. That's what comes into the body through the sunlight, through the light codes, through these packets of light which are in here, and they come into our body. They come, in my view, how I see them, is they come into the crystalline grids and they come up to our body, but through the soles of the feet and through the tailbone, and they are doing many things. So they are catalyzing what Gaia calls, I love this word that she uses, the rememberings of your cells. So this is ancient DNA, ancient codings coming in, these catalyzing rememberings of skills, of experiences, of psychic abilities, of linking into activities and knowledge and cognitive understandings of things that come from higher dimensional spaces. So this is you being integrated, your multi-dimensional self through time, space, and dimensions. Certainly up to 7th dimension is the integration and the embodiment process at the moment, and access to 12th dimensional. Well, imagine that you are this little 3D body that is going through this extraordinary exchange of energies through this alchemizing process as you're receiving yourself. That's what it is. This is how big you are, my friends. This is how incredible you are, this expansive being of light that you are, and you are integrating it. So back through time, back through space, back through your dimensional aspects up to 7th dimensional experiences. And it's massive. And so give yourself some pause, give yourself some gentle time, give yourself a break. Just know that it's process and it's massive, and we are doing this in this incremental way, a little bit at a time, so that we can handle this great solar flash. So we're into that space. Right. Yeah, so being hydrated, that is a useful aid, and their feet on the ground in nature. I personally don't think that it's easy for us to ground at the moment because we're still in this kind of floaty energy, but it'll get easier now. So start seeing the effect of that again. Be trying that out. Okay, so this today. So this is what has come through today. I'm just reading what Lauren Gardner has written. Yes, okay. Yes, I think this might answer that, Lauren. Can't make any promises, but I think so. So I asked her, what is this current energy? And she said the streaming energies of pure white light for increased and deep purification with an intoxicating effect, activating more bliss codes, enabling higher frequencies to be housed in the body. So this is assisted. Let's see if I can lift this up. This is assisted by the ongoing clear out of darker and denser energies as they are dissolved and removed from the planet. There is and has been this lightening effect all around. So you may feel lighter and taller and in more ease in the body, a greater sense of well-being, even an excitement and anticipation. Can I hear, see, feel that something good is coming, a knowing that a dream is coming true, that anticipatory part of the movie that has you on the edge of your seat. That's where we're at. We are in absolute, precise, focused, do you, be you energy. Okay? But you don't do you be you in your highest alignment, attuned to your sensory and physical body. What are the messages your body is giving you? Are you sitting still enough to receive them? Are you in present moment often enough to notice the subtle nudges, the openings, the sensations? And you make decisions from your heart, one little nudge at a time. We're really being asked to be patient here, which can be, can raise that kind of frustrating response of, oh, I've been so patient. It's, I remember having this in my own energy where, not to do with this, but the same story where I thought, I've just done so much healing. Surely there isn't more. And when I came to recognize that we keep unwrapping, it's like unwrapping the next parcel. Some people call it the onion effect, but I think it's more like unwrapping a parcel because we're unwrapping our gifts at the same time. And we are unwrapping our pains, our woundings, the broken feelings, the hurts, the experiences. And each time we do that, it enables us to come into a higher vibration, to greater sensation, spiraling our way up the ascension spiral. You know, each of us doing that, each of us having our own ascension spiral, that joins in to create a collective ascension spiral, and then humanity, and then the planet, and twins or divine counterparts have a role to play in that lineage as well. But we're really being asked to like rest back, to sit in the space of knowing that we are in the most exciting time in the history of our planet. We're on, I've been saying for a while, we are in an evolutionary revolution, and we are really part of the ground crew for that in the way we conduct our own energy systems. So you are asking yourself, what does your heart want to say to you? So just invite you to come into that space while you're sitting here, to take several long, gentle breaths and be really focused on the energy in your heart. So breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Place your hands on your heart and breathe in. And breathe out. I'm just going to give you an exercise to do to help you attune to yourself. So put your hands on your heart. Relax into your body. Close your eyes. fall into your own heart. Take your point of consciousness into your own heart. So in the space in the center of your heart, behind your hands, just say thank you to your heart. And ask your heart to guide you. Sit in that space, coming into balance, into center, into alignment. And we're just going to call upon Saint Germain, the Ascended Master Saint Germain, and ask him to use his gold and silver violet flame of transformation, transmutation, and you can give permission for that or not, up to you, to run through your field from beneath your feet to above your head and above the 12th chakra, right through your energy field, clearing, transmuting, blowing out anything that sits in there that is not for your highest good. And take a breath. If you can, have your feet on the ground and follow your breath. It's a way of coming into presence, to follow your breath in through the nostrils, down through the body to the bottom of the breath, and then out through the mouth. Follow it out. And ask your heart, what do I need right now? Note the answer. And let's instruct all that's ready to be released to arise. Allow that to come up, to notice it. You might wish to engage with it or note it down. You can ask it, what is it? What does it want to say to you? You can feel into the sensory experience of it. Where do you feel it in your body? What does it feel like? How would you describe it? What does it have to tell you? Does it require anything of you for healing, for integration, or for release? And you can do that with whatever else is sitting there. You can just feel your heart behind your hands expanding and opening. And you drop more deeply into that space, into that place. Sit in your own being, in your own beingness, in ease and in gentleness and in deep contemplation. Allowing any of these feelings and sensations to arise like bubbles from the interior of your body or up through the sensations in your skin. And now I invite you to drop even more deeply. Invite your body to come into its highest alignment. And take a breath. Now invite your body to come into its greatest balance. And its biggest expansion. And now shift your breath to a pulsing movement as though you're breathing in through the base of your body, through your root chakra, and in through your crown and meeting in the heart. So it's breathing in and then breathing out. And just do a few of those, meeting in here. We'll do them long and quick. And out. And in, pumping in. And out. And now I want you to extend that to your 12th chakra, your soul star chakra. So pump in from that level and from your earth star crystalline chakra under the ground, about 60 to 80 centimeters under the ground. You're going to pump in from there and pump in from the 12th star. And out. And in. And out. And in. And out. So that's just another way that you can exercise your breath. And invite your higher self to activate your Merkaba, which is your traveling energetic transport, if you like. And if you don't know what it is, just skip it out. So God tells me that right now, and so you might come back to this space. So the Merkaba is the star tetrahedron, and it sits in masculine form and feminine form. It's like two inverted pyramids that create a star system. They spin in opposite directions. They help in the working of your toroidal field as well. They integrate with that, and they help with your pillar of light. That's the axis they spin on, but in different directions. And so I know that in a lifetime I had in Egypt, when I did a past life experience with that, I saw myself riding what I can only call a space equivalent of a jet ski. But it was the equivalent of the Merkaba, made out of copper. And that was how I went into space from Egypt at that time. So I must share more of that. So Gaia shows me we're moving in this very powerful stream of light. And really, we just need to attune to it. You know, it's more uplifting, it's lighter, it's easier to smile, it's easier to feel clearer and cleaner and more alive. And that to think of no time. So you may have heard me talk about the fact that the time grid collapsed quite a long time ago in the ethers and dropping into here. Many of you will be having similar experiences to me, where it's very hard to connect into time. You have to use more clues and cues to get to places in the right timing because of that, because we have lost that ability to be connected to time. And that, I have to tell you, is a huge kind of triumph for freedom, for your own sovereignty, that you aren't hooked into that, because that hooks us in so many ways. Even, you know, when we think that we ought to sleep and eat and work and all of those things, and we're exiting that. Those are the programs of the matrix. We're exiting that, and time is a big construct that impacts on us in that way. And so Gaia's saying, think no time association. Just be in the moment, in that quantum moment that moves. You'll remember I talked about it. It moves and expands or contracts to meet your needs. So you work with intention of working in the quantum. So she says that we are heading towards a similar horizontal band of this same light that intersects at right angles, but from where her and I were viewing it from, which is that place that we view things in the internal of the earth, And I just on that point, I want to say that my experience of inner earth is that it is a mixture of open spaces and of geological formations of rock and crystals, and there is much, if not everything, on the inner earth that's on the external earth. And so it's hollow in some ways and it's not in others, but it's my kind of, I guess, interdimensional travel to the inner earth. To be honest, I don't know how I do this. I really must find someone who can help me figure it out, or not. Maybe it doesn't matter. Yeah, I think it doesn't really matter to me. Otherwise, I would have done it, right? But I don't know how I get there. But it's like I have an intention. I'm there, and that's what I do when I travel into space as well. I just have an intention, and I'm there. I'm in a new environment. I've got new things are happening around me. I'm having new experiences. I'm seeing things I haven't seen before. I'm being shown imagery. I'm moving through imagery, and so. From our platform, Gaia and I in the inner earth this morning, it was this cross, but it sits in this kind of plane. So I'm always trying to look for ways to describe what I'm seeing. But if you imagine a clock and the that was sitting in its normal position with the 12 and the 6, the trajectory of this the vertical of the cross, which comes from a wide stream into a narrow stream into a wide stream, and the horizontal comes from a wide stream into a narrow stream into a wide stream where it meets, and it doesn't have sharp edges. It's as though it could be eternal and infinite, those light rays. So on the clock, the cross sits from or at 20 to 2. No, 20 to 240, at 240. So the cross runs across the clock on that trajectory. So who knows what that means, but that's what I am trying to describe to you. It sits on that angle as we are viewing it, and then that comes in. And I want to tell you that that intersecting horizontal band is to do with the solar flash, and we are, as a planet, are not too far from it. So this is just another representation of the solar flash coming through. So it's obvious to me, I'm sure it's obvious to many of you, that we're in this ever increasing build up for the solar flash. Yeah, you're likely feeling it, sensing it, knowing it, asking yourself, well, when the heck is this going to happen? It's been, we've been sitting on the edges of it. And it's true, we have been. And it's a bit like, well, if you think of it in this way, if you were a primary school teacher or a preschool teacher, and you were taking a group of 4-year-olds, say, you're taking a group of 4-year-olds on a journey in the bush, or on a journey around the edge of a river. You don't decide that those who are dawdling at the back get left behind. You have somebody working with them to encourage them, to help them, to take their hand, to take their backpack if it's getting too strenuous, to rub their feet when their feet are sore, to wipe their eyes when they're crying because they're so frustrated. And that's what we are being invited to do with the collective, with those who are still asleep. But we don't have to go and poke them. It's not like we go to the end of the line and get the stick and say, you are way too slow, hurry up. No, we're there, we're encouraging them, we're asking them, are they okay? We're asking them, is there something that we can do to help them? And mostly we're just holding space, because everyone has already made their own soul choice. So if we are getting into anxiety around it, that's our work. If we are getting into wanting to sort of wake people up, or poke them, to see things or notice things, then that isn't our work, honestly. And when you come to the peace with that, or be at peace with that, it's very freeing. Okay, so yeah, that done. Okay, so CMEs, choroidal mass ejections, that's what they are. We had a huge one yesterday. The solar flares that are being measured by the Schumann resonance, it's a bit like we're going, if it was a graph, we're going a lot, along a little bit, and then a spike, and then a higher spike, and then a long at a higher level, and then another spike, and then just this gradual, incremental, rapid increase in frequencies and flares and filaments. And these bring in these light codes, these light packages, these packets of information, these codexes that are designed to come into your body and change it, to re-establish your old codes, your old divine plan blueprint to a higher dimensional level. So you will we're doing this in increasingly higher increments. Remember, Gaia calls this Ascension fitness. So we go to the gym, we do more repetitions, we carry more weights, or we do a different range of exercises to work with a different part of the body to increase our respiratory, our aerobics, to increase our muscle mass, to increase flexibility. All of those aspects apply here. So this tempering of the body, that's the other word that she's been using. So we are prepared. So when this bigger one comes through, this is what we're preparing for. It is like going to the gym. This is what we're preparing for. And the more well prepared we are, so this is in being kind of flexible and fluid in our way of being. So it's a physical thing, and it's a mental thing. It's also an emotional aspect. So all of these ways, we need to be more in the detached observation, the witness of self, to be just checking in. What's going on here? What do I need? How am I feeling? I wonder what that's about. Oh, okay, maybe it's that. Oh, it's that. Oh, wow, I thought I dealt with that. Here it comes again. Because every time we take and we move into a new frequency or a new rung on that spiral, we have new things, because we have a greater ability to access them. So we have a greater ability to access our old wounds and our old gifts, because we are more of a match to them. And this is our preparation for this big flash. Basically, how I see it is that if you chose to do this gig, and I'm going to talk a bit more about this, and to do this in your physical form here on the planet, not off somewhere else, then this is your work, because you don't want to be fried. And that's how I see it. It would be like we might be incinerated. It's a bit like taking a piece of dry bread and putting it in the oven on high, as opposed to a moist piece of bread and putting it in the oven on high. And this is going to be the effect. I believe it's going to be combustion, and it's going to be combustion of what is not required in our cells. And so we want to be able to receive that, and then it brings in these higher codes. So I believe we're going to have all different experiences. Everybody will have their own individual experience. Everyone's having their own ascension experience. Everyone's on their own trajectory or spiral. But there's some common things that will happen. What I want to say to you is, remember that everybody has already made their soul decision, even your child. So I don't believe that, well, it's a bit of a stretch, I know, but I do believe that even small children have made their soul decision, And it may be that that's to be with you, and it may be that it's not, and that it's not that we stop loving them. But we have to be detached from everything at this time. And it doesn't mean to not be caring, and it doesn't mean we don't continue with our parental duties. But when we have moved into our other dimensional space, a lot of things are going to take on a new nuance. And so a lot of these delicious, amazing, delightful lights that are in our children, they are here to teach us. They are here to lead the way. They are here to bring in new inventions. They are here to bring in new ways of being and operating. And we will take the role of steerage, of helping them assimilate to being on the planet. Really, this, we know a little bit about the local surroundings. So they have already chosen, everybody has chosen their intended experience both on the earth and through this ascension process. So I thought I'd just sort of write out a few ways that it could happen, and I'll just run through them quickly. So some people could have a normal death and just exit. Some people may want to have a continuation of a 3D physical experience in their 3D body in this sort of, in this ongoing simulation, if you like, that we have been in here in a three-dimensional strata. Some are going to a new experience on a different planet. Some are going into a three-dimensional bandwidth on another planet to complete there. I am unsure about the alignment of both of those, but it's one of those for people who want to have a continued 3D experience. They either are going to another planet or they're having an experience in a bandwidth here. And I don't know the answer to that. Maybe it's both, but it doesn't, to me, it doesn't really matter. But that's, one of the options, or two of the options. Some souls are returning home to their home planet, to their place in the multiverse. Some know their work here is done and they are complete. So they have completed their soul mission, which was to be here on the earth until it ascended. And so they will go on to new missions, or off to have a rest somewhere else, or to work somewhere on a new planet. Some will go and have off-planet healing, and some will go and have off-planet learning, and some will go and have off-planet upgrading. So they might come back in a new body, they may come back in a new form, or they may come back in their existing body but being upgraded. So this assistance to the body will bring a frequency upgrade in a more gentle way than being here through the solar flash. It can just gives them more time, and it is this whole thing. There's nobody left behind. There's this. It's like there's a 30% fallout, and that's what Gaia tells me. 70% will ascend, but there's just a lot of ways that people can ascend, and so there'll be this 30% fallout. Some of those are people who've chosen not to ascend. Some of those are not people. And there's a little dark element as well. So, people who are not ready for their bodies to receive these high frequencies, they will be taken care of. They will be taken for first aid or into a rest place until their bodies can be gently raised to that frequency. What Gaia has explained to me is this spectrum, because we are all on the spectrum and have access to the spectrum from the dark to the light, and we choose where we sit and play and operate on it. But how she's shown it to me is that the dark end, it's like it had this stretch. It's as though it created its own tail, and that is where we have been witnessing the very dark, evil, nefarious things that have been going on in our world. It's from that tail end of the spectrum. And so what will happen to those who sit in there is that they will be given opportunity to rehabilitate, to redress, to rehabilitate is probably the best thing. And those who are unable to do that, and she said there'll be a few, they will be returned to source light energy and totally transmuted. And then there's maybe us. So us, we, you, me, we are and have possibly anyway chosen to have this physical ascension where the body is in this higher state to receive this flash for this higher shift to a higher consciousness. And so we will then be in higher ways of being, relating, learning, operating, loving. And parents and adults will take on this role of guidance and assistance and guardianship, relating specifically to being on Earth. And if you look at some of these, these children, well, I don't know exactly the timing of it, but probably at least since 2012 and maybe 2008 that we've had these amazing lights coming to our planet. These I met a 6-month baby in the weekend who just looked at me with the deepest eyes and this big smile on his face. He was just this beaming, smiling soul who's just so at ease here on the earth at the moment. So we will become much more self-determining, more self-realized, more self-actualized, and that is why now we need to come into the practice of that, of being with self, of knowing self, of communing with self, and through the heart. The release of the mind as driver, the acknowledgement that the mind is a wonderful tool. And so during this month, I'm given a number of things. I'm given this visual metaphor of buildings crumbling, taking on the appearance of ancient ruins. This is what we will witness over this month as we observe in our physical world the unstable, redundant, built on faulty premise, the hidden, the hooks, the lies. But I want to remind you about how I've been showing very clearly that we have ascension before disclosure. So it will just be little sort of edges of truth and disclosure, not enough for people to fall apart, to go into disarray. We won't see it all. We don't need to see it all. We'll be shown or we'll be guided to see the components that are essential for our own growth, our own ascension. These aspects that come to be shown to us for our highest evolution. And that will apply to everyone. So Gaia has always spoken to me, and I was pretty light about it when she first started speaking to me a number of years ago, maybe right at the beginning of 2020, actually. She started talking to me about how her biggest concern for humanity was cognitive dissonance. And I would go, oh yeah, I get that. Well, I didn't. I certainly did not get the extent and the depth, the possibility of the level of cognitive dissonance that we may witness. And so this is why there's been this universal change, because it's been so deep and nefarious what's gone on. And we just don't need to see it all, we only need to see enough to know that we don't want it to ever happen again, that we will do what we need to do to make sure it doesn't. We'll be more vigilant, more observant, more noticing of shifts and changes of energies and process and methods and what comes in that's new. We'll be more discerning about that. But yeah, during this time, she's kept saying that to me, and I've really begun to see it. So people could really be sort of bunted out of left field, really, with this. And so we have to be mindful about that. We don't want to wake people up by doing this to them. We want to just enable them to wake up on their chosen, as I've said, printed on their soul date of awakening. And I remember this saying that Gaia had of the two rivers, and I think in halfway through 2020, she said for me to say to light workers, if you're still in the muddy river, get out. You don't need to turn over every rock and examine every piece of dirt and gravel in that river. You just need to see that there's some themes going on here. There's some common things happening in the world that are not of the highest for humanity, that do not fit with our beautiful, amazing, incredible ways of being. So get out of that river and get in the clear crystal river, and you just keep an eye on it. You can just see that it's happening over there, but your focus is on being in the crystal clear river, and that still applies. But now I want to say we want to be above the crystal river. We want to be having that trajectory of that viewpoint from being above it, watching it, moving it, because we're moving more quickly than water. So remember, it's not your job to rescue anybody or to poke or prod anybody into their ascension. They will come to you if you are the person they need to be receiving from. Just trust the universe. I'll tell you what, that's a really big thing for us this month, for those of us who are awake and ready. Also, I want to tell you that when this wave comes through, it's my understanding that disease will cease, and we will have technologies that attend to other things. So Gaia speaks of the wave ameliorating damage from the vaccines, and then when we're in this new frequency, disease will cease to exist. We'll come more into youthing, and there are other physical attributes that will come. We'll be more radiant. I believe we'll be a bit taller. We'll be much more at ease in our bodies. We won't have a lot of things to pull us off track. We'll be very focused on our own alignment, on our own development, and on rebuilding, reconstituting, regenerating our new earth. So on some level, and this is hard to accept and receive, but on some level, souls chose whatever experience they've had in the last 2.5 years. And so we need to go to a higher perspective for it, hold compassion, and know that anything that has come in that we might not feel happy about will be made right. And those people who have passed from, and we know that there's a lot more evidence of an incredible number of very fit athletic sports people around the world who have died on the field or on the track. So they made this choice. So there's been a lot of things that have happened in order to wake people up, in order to show people what isn't right, what isn't good, in order that they can make other changes. That compression, that pressure, that squeeze, so that people kind of push out against it, break it open. And it doesn't have to be just systems, it's just within self, where each the macro and the micro. And so some people will have done this as their gift to the awakening world, and that's hard for us in our humanity to receive. But when we go to our higher selves, we can see that, because, you know, we are eternal. The soul, it never dies. It's eternal, and this is the physical vessel upon which we have inhabited and chosen and designed for whatever reason, as a soul, to have this experience, this physical experience on the earth at this time. And if we're here at this time, oh my word, I think it means something special. You know, I don't believe we got dumped here to be here at this time. I believe we went, yes, I want to be there. And then someone said, and yes, you can. And so there was a selection process for a lot of this. We have come as the master, and we are coming into our mastery. We are on the way to that. You will have an area of specialization, an area of mastery that you came here to work with in this new way, or in the breaking down of the old and the rebuilding of the new. There'll be kind of networks and groups and sacred geometric formations that are created in and amongst people to change things and to upgrade them and to renew them. And we'll have, when you think about, you've been here as this little tiny three-dimensional human being for a while, and that now you are opening up to the fact that you have been a fourth dimensional being, a fifth dimensional being, a sixth dimensional being, a seventh dimensional being, many experiences of that. The reason I say about the fourth is because I've always seen the fourth, I see the fourth as like the skin between. It's like, it's the skin. Here's the skin of the third, and here's the skin of the fifth, and the fourth is this little narrow thing in here that we sort of jump across or leap across, or it's a bridge, however you want to see it. It's like that to me. But one of the things that Gaia told me early was that these dark, nefarious beings, or the demonics, they cannot exist beyond the fourth dimension. So when we move into there, we don't have to contend with any of that as well. So we've been here in this experience of being in duality and have learned much through this experience. This whole sort of looking at what we can and can't do, what we do and don't want, that assists us to formulate what, where and how. And we've been learning that, and now we're learning to be, and many of us are becoming experts at this now, to be engaged with our own inner GPS, our global positioning system, through the heart and kind of connection to the soul space. So we can now be looking more at this quantum expansion, this heart, soul leading the way, determining timing. But timing, Gaia's been speaking to me for a while about timing being a sequential mechanism. That has to happen before that. And so this is why it feels to us like that this is taking way too long, because that has to happen before that has to happen. And so we really are in the last kind of in the end game. And yeah, so we're dropping deeply into our own hearts for our own higher guidance and accessing our own deeper wisdom and knowledge and experience. I want to say I get that today, the first, the energies were lighter, more open, they have a higher vibration and they're more pure. I believe that the 9th, 10th and 11th of this month, and then there'll be some, that around that 2021, 22 as well, that they are big days in the month. And I'm just going to mention that what I'm showing is that the 9th, 10th, 11th, I believe in that window we're going to see some significant event. So it may be one or many. Gaia said skies, so she has spoken about, look to the skies and look to the water. That's what she's always said. That will be the clues. A lot of people are able to see the many spaceships that are around, and there's millions of them that have been around our Earth for a number of years now, to be observing this kind of extravaganza that we're going through in this dimensional shift, this human ascension in physical form, which has never been done in the history of the omniverse. They are here to witness it. You are part of it. It's exciting. And that's what we need to be in the celebratory mode of, in this higher frequency, holding this higher alignment, this higher light, this higher way of being, viewing it as though we're watching it from a slightly detached position, knowing that it's all unfolding in the sequential order that it needs to come in to this alignment for the perfection of divine timing and divine alignment. But yeah, the Aurea Borealis. So we're already seeing a lot of that around, aren't we? Yeah, somebody, a couple of people actually messaged me about data points today, which Jason Estes speaks about, and I think it was 1,000 data points or something that we had come in yesterday or today. And so, these are these light packets that I talk about, these light codes, these crystalline and diamond fractals of information that are coming in to give us more of who we are. So we are in final releasings. We're in pressure equalization. That's taking place. This is going to cause rifts, if you like, seismic waves in the tectonic plates, causing substrata vibration shifts and movements. I see fires and volcanic lava during this month. I see that in a few places around the world. But again, we've each chosen whatever our experience is, and I don't see these as being huge disasters of affecting and impacting large groups of people. A lot of people have already left our planet. We probably don't have a very good register of how many that is, but a lot more than we're being told for obvious reasons. So you can see the Earth, or the planet, is going through this kind of experience, much like the wet, shaggy dog, shaking itself off, ready to go and lie in the sun. And you can take that on board as your own personal story as well, because it's the macro and the micro. So you could see it as this: the Earth having this huge in-breath, a sneeze, a cough, and a loud exhale, followed by a shaking and a shivering as it settles into its new equilibrium and recalibration. And that is our experience also. And everyone will be where they are meant to be. You follow your inner guidance. Well, the other thing that I didn't mention is that some people, when we have this wave, they when they're taken off planet, they might be taken off into some spaceships. There's been see, that's the other thing about that window, that 10th, 11th, 12th, is that guy is saying that might be this kind of big grand MSM reveal, and these publicly showing spaceships on mainstream media, and she said that's likely to be false. So even though we know that there are millions of ships around the planet, Gaia is saying the general population is not ready to receive that yet. So if we get shown that, that's just ignore it. That's an MSM scare tactic, fear mongering. We will each see them when we are ready, individually, as a collective, as humanity. So Remember that you are this crystal pillar, that's your role at this time for the planet, is to be that incredible crystalline pillar, being the conduit for these energies into the planet. That you be the alchemist of your own cells, your own body, your own energetic fields. You're transmuting, you're transforming, you're transcending to higher frequency and vibration. And this will assist those around you. Everything that you do assists the field, assists those people you come into connection with. We're having these ongoing light code upgrades and increase in frequencies, and they are just going to keep on coming until we're ready to get the final kind of one, the grand flash, if you like. Keep your feet on the ground. I wrote here, what is the answer? Love. What is the question? It doesn't matter. The answer is always love. So we just have to come into greater love of self, greater love of everything that's going around us that helps us raise the vibration. When this wave comes through, we will be guided as well to maybe sit or meditate or lie down or lay on the ground and just know that all is well, that we are in this end time that is not the biblical end times, and don't be drawn into that their story. It's just a privilege and a blessing to be here. So let me, I'm aware that we've been on here for a while, but let me just check through here and see. Thank you, those of you who have joined me. I always really appreciate that. So yes, this exhaustion, just to be with it. Don't give yourself a hard time. Manage it in the best way that you can. And if you have to and can, take a sick day, because this is the biggest thing that we've ever been through in the history of our planet. Waking up with bruises. And yeah, so Walllife has said that, and Becca said yes on my legs. Yeah, interesting. Hey, I wonder whether you are doing kind of quite physical astral traveling. Yeah, so Lauren's saying, want to know about clarity, new direction. Many of us have been in this pause and holding back for quite some time. That's so true. And so what we do is we just be in that place of love. We know that it's the tramping thing when you're at the front of the group that's tramping up the hill or up the mountain. You get to the top and you wait for everybody else to arrive, and sometimes that can take a while before you do the next part of the trail, right? And that's where we are at. We do have to drop into our most extreme and beautiful acceptance, allowance, and patience. Yeah, it's interesting about people battling. Yeah, many of you will be out in the ethers, having an experience of that. We're kind of in the end stages of that. Northern Lights showed up on my Google TV when you said that. Oh, I love that synchronicity. Releasing anger. Yes, everything. We are releasing everything. This is like right down to any emotion that's been held in our cells and in our body. Beachwave saying feet hurting badly. Yeah, maybe that's another possibility, is that we could be releasing. Oh, actually, that's a very good point. So I saw this the other day. I don't know if I mentioned to you, but it's like we've been having this two-way energy flow. We've been having energy coming in and down and up and out. And so I believe it could be that we're each is flipping around, because that would do a better job. So the energies coming in could be purifying, that could be going out through the feet, or the energies coming up could be the codes, and they could be coming in through the feet, and it could switch around. So the feet are really working hard at the moment. They've got, remember, they are connected to all of the systems in our body, and so all of the nerve endings as well. And so yeah, they are definitely, they take a part in receiving the codes from our crystalline earth star chakra, and they also help us ground and connect to the earth. So they're working hard. Take good care of them. Thank you, Gazelle. And Tamara, oh, good work, Tamara, aligning more and more with our soul. Yes, that's right. Yeah, we are. That's exactly right. Dana's saying 2 of her grandchildren, first grade and kindergarten, told me today they're both having nightmares. Would be, I think it's good to tell them that they're safe, that they're protected. Maybe you could give them something like a crystal to have beside their bed. I think smoky quartz might be good for that, and fluorite. And there'll be others as well, or any kind of quartz crystal, and just enable them to use that as their talisman, because I want to say they're sensitively tuned into the etheric, and so they are seeing things that are on the way out. Yeah, and maybe you could help them with some oils. Someone might know more about that, maybe an answer to that in terms of oils. Lavenders can go on the skin, and that's quite good for sleep. So that, and tell them that they're in charge. Tell them that they are all powerful, and that all they have to do is think the thought, go away, get out of here. Yeah, Tamara's saying hard to find staff, wondering what that's about, and suggesting it might be people exiting or backdrop people leaving. It could be that there's so much going on in our world at the moment. But if I were you, I would sit and call them in energetically before you place the ad. I think that's about it. So thank you all. I'm sorry I haven't spoken to you each individually and mentioned your name here, but I'm really grateful. And we just have to keep looking for the good, looking for the amazing, looking for the exhilaration, looking for the enlightenment, looking for the up-leveling, the uplifting, because that is where we are at. So we're watching this trajectory going on over here, because that reminds us that that's the part of the game that makes us shift, that not us, makes humanity shift. When all of a sudden they have had enough, then they wake up, don't they? Because all of a sudden they go, well, that isn't right. Well, I don't want to be following along with that. I object to that. I feel I have some rights around that. And so this is how those people who are asleep will be awakened, like, that sort of God story about squeezing the deep pimple. And so this is why this is continuing. Gaia said, sorry, New Zealand, that New Zealanders were the most somnambulistic people on the planet. When I looked that up, it's a deep sleepwalking, and she said that we would be the last to awaken here in New Zealand, and it is certainly starting to surge. There have been some appalling, absolutely outrageous decisions made here in policy and in well, forward projections about what we are doing, not doing. So yeah, New Zealand, we are awakening. And so yeah, I haven't tuned into that. I will tune into that because that's what I was shown, is that when enough of New Zealand is awake, that's the beginning of the ripple across the planet for readiness. So we're definitely watching that. There's some pretty crazy judicial stuff happening here. Yeah, so I will let you know and you let me know. It's everything can be seen from multiple perspectives, like the flooding. Water, it can drown people and it can save people, it can rescue people, it can be the thing that you can float on or the thing that you can drown in, it can be the thing that hydrates you, or it can be the thing that overwhelms your system, it can be the thing that nurtures and nourishes our crops, and it can be the thing that washes them away. And that is how we need to be viewing all of this. So these outrageous, strange, ridiculous things that we are watching in the same breath as we are going, what is that about? There are people who are going, what is that about? Oh, I'm not putting up with that. And they start to have this kind of moving into their heart feelings away from their mind. That's the crunch that's going on for many. And it's the same with, we could see all the flooding that's gone on. It's had all of those effects. People have drowned, crops have been washed away, and then at the same time, the earth has been cleansed in a way. So we just have to look at it that there are multiple perspectives, and we just keep coming into knowing that we are a soul having a physical experience, that we don't die, and that we each chose this experience, and that, you know, we're here for this, the ride on this last wave, which is going to be a bit like being a Hawaiian longboard surfer on those giant waves. That's how I feel. It's going to be a woohoo, a bit scary but very exhilarating. So I send you so much love from my heart. In here, just before I go, see we've got the mother energy. This blue and silver is the mother energy. That's how I see it. These are the emerald codes in here. In here are some of the green healing, green heart codes. And over here is this orange, which is all to do with passion and the sacral. And we've definitely been, oh, that's the other thing, is that I haven't felt it today, but yesterday and the day before, huge heat in the body. So this is this matchup. Remember, everything's happening in the earth and in us. So this warming of the belly, this warming of the sacral, this warming of the solar plexus, that's the same as the planet internally and externally. There's this kind of glow going on, and some of you will be having that as well. So that's happening with the planet. I got shown the planet a few years ago that it had this kind of halo effect. This, if I drew it, it would be like this, and gold shimmering light all the way around it. It already has a new resonance, a new hum. We're all on track. We're totally stretched, totally wiped out, totally exhausted, but we're very close. And so just keep that in mind. Just be really present, and then we don't get into that I am so tired of this. I am so tired of this as a mind issue that creates the suffering. So you go into the heart and you go, oh, I love you, heart. And I love this experience. And I don't love every moment, but I love the overall experience of this. And I'm very privileged to be here. So thank you. And we'll talk again soon. Oh, yeah, and I will come back and do something about the divine masculine and the divine feminine. It's pretty interesting what's going on at the moment. All right, see you soon. I probably won't do that till tomorrow. I need to do some gardening.